Rahul Bajaj has done a great job of taking the company to its present status, but it is time that he let go of the reins. Let go of the reins is what is underlined. So what are my options? Let go of without double F, okay. Step down, okay. Let go to the reins, delegated responsibility, let go in the reins. What do you think we need to substitute this underlined phrase with, or do we have to? So some of you may not know. So what's a rein? What am I doing? I'm riding a horse, right? So the rein is the one that is attached to the bridle, right? So I can use the rein to control the horse. So if I pull the rein, then I'm asking the horse to stop or slow down, right? That's a rein. You have an idea now? Mental picture? Go back to the context. So whenever I am holding on to the reins, that means I'm trying to control the horse, right? I want the horse to listen to me. But when I'm letting go of the reins, which means what? I'm relaxing. I'm releasing control. I'm saying, okay, boss, you go. I'm not holding you back. You go. Right? Now let's look at, a lot of you are saying, some of you are saying step down, some of you are saying 1, some of you are saying 2, which is step down again. So let's look at the context, okay? Now, let go of the reins means now we have an idea what it is, right? To release control. Yeah, that's what it means. So the actual expression is let go of the reins. OF and not OFF. So that's why whatever is underlined in the context is incorrect. So we have to choose one of the options. We understand what let go of the reins is, right? That can be in the parking lot. Some of you came back and said 2, step down. Now, the context is not saying how should he let go of the reins, right? What are all the ways in which this person can let go of the reins? That's not what the context is saying, right? If that is what the context is saying, then I will say, okay, one way in which he can release control is to delegate responsibility. But that is not the context. The context is saying he's done a great job of taking the company to its present status, but now he needs to relax. He needs to release control. So understand the context. The context does not have a secondary question saying, how should he let go of the reins? So the scope of the context is only there. I am only improving that underlined phrase which is let go of the reins, which means is to release control. I am not going to go ahead and put option 2 saying, oh, this is one of the ways in which he can let go of the reins, which is to delegate responsibility. That is incorrect, right? It's out of the concept or context. So 2 is incorrect. Let go to the reins is not the right expression. Out. Delegate responsibility is what I was explaining. Step down again. Why would somebody who's put so much effort in bringing one company to a good state step down? Step down means what? He's saying, okay, boss, I'm leaving, I'm quitting. You guys take care of the company. Why would he do that? Doesn't make logical sense, right? So that is also out. Let go in the reins is not the right phrase. So our answer is option 1. Rahul Bajaj has done a great job of taking the company to its present status, but it is time that he let go of the reins. Relax, released control. Okay, let's move on. Are you guys following? So stepping down is not an option at all. Because why would he do that? He's the one who's helped bring the company to this present state. So stepping down in, option 2 and 4, in fact, we need more context. We don't have that. We are only improving the sentence pertaining to the underlined phrase. We still have to retain the same meaning that underlined phrase is bringing to the context. Are you following? It must be noticed that under no circumstance should the company go in for diversification. It must be noticed as the underlined phrase. Should I change it? If I look at the options, I have noticed, noticed, noticed in 3 options. I have noted in one option and I have pointed out in the other option. What do you think will retain the meaning of the context, or maybe the one that is there also is okay, I don't know, you tell me. In fact, what is there in the underlined phrase is the same as option 1, right? It must be noticed, it must be noticed. Whatever is there in the context is the same as option 1. 4, I have 4. 4. So it's between 2 and 4. The war is between 2 and 4. The battle is between 2 and 4. So let's look at what can be the answer. 4 is it should be noticed. Okay. So basically between must, the modal verb, and should, the modal verb. That's where you guys, must is an obligation, should is the right thing to do. Let's see what can be the answer. Let me give you a picture let's understand the difference between noticed and noted first, right? So let's say you wear your best attire. Okay, you walk into college or you go to work. Somebody has noticed you. Somebody walks up to you and says, hey, you're looking really good today, right? So they give you a compliment, right? So in that context, they've noticed you and approached you and given you and paid a compliment to you. In that context, it means what? They've observed you. They saw you. You dressed really nice, right? Or let's say there was a problem that was, you've been discussing, there's a heated discussion on a problem, and then you provide a very smart solution. So somebody noticed that you have provided a smart solution, and they acknowledged that. They said, hey, great, John has given me a good, smart solution. So they noticed it. They observed what you said, right? So noticed, one meaning is observe. One of you, or maybe two of you, noticed that the previous question, there were two parts that had an error, right? Basically, there was more than one part that had an error, which means what? In that context, what is the meaning of noticed? You detected, you identified, right? Now, let's go back to the context. Let's understand the context. It must be noticed that, do I want a meaning of observed or detected? It must be observed that under no circumstances should the company go in for diversification. It must be detected that under no circumstance should the company go in for diversification, or noted. Where will you use noted? I want you to please make a note of this. I want you to pay attention to this. That's what it means, right? Please pay note to what I'm saying. It's very important. I want you to probably apply it, right? Now let's go back to the context. It must be noted. So you must have heard people saying the point to be noted is, what they're basically saying is what you need to keep in mind or what you need to make a note of. So in the context, they are giving more like something that you need to keep in mind, something that you need to make a note of, right? Under no circumstances should the company go in for diversification. Diversification means what? If it's some economic low point for the company where, the assets are distributed, there's a variety of investments. That's what diversification. So in this context, they're saying, under no circumstances should the company go in for diversification. This is something that I want you to make a note of, right? Obviously, it must be noticed. So anything that have noticed, you can quickly eliminate. But what about it must be pointed out? What about that? That seems pretty okay. Some of you came back and said option 3 as well, right? It must be pointed out. See, when you say something has to be pointed out, you're almost like pointing fingers at someone or something, and you want to make somebody aware of something. But in what context? So if I say, let me point out to you that Manoja has not been coming for work for the last 1 week. So I'm informing someone of something wrong, something bad that happened, hey, and you need to be aware of it, right? So in this context, it must be pointed out. You're not showing fingers at someone or something, right? So not the most effective option here. So here, bring to light something that people should know about. Usually something, unpleasant or untoward or negative. Bring to light. So you're saying something about someone. I just gave you an example, right? Let me point out. Or it must be, so when such and such a thing happened, I need to point it out to you. Let me point out that so and so has not been coming. Just to put this in context, to work for the past 1 week. Yeah. So not the most effective option here. So our option is it must be noted. Let's look at the next one. Since books are quite expensive, that many children do not have access to them. So the two words that are underlined is quite expensive. So let's see. Do we change that to something? More expensive than, expensive that, expensive to, expensive for. What do you think is the answer for this one? It's between 2. Okay, I have all the options now. 2, 3, 4, 5 except 1. Okay, so let's quickly look at this and eliminate the wrong answer options. Since books are quite expensive, then what? No information, out. Since books are quite expensive, that many children do not have access to them. Now, let's look at 2, okay? I have that. Since books are expensive, that many children do not have access to them is incorrect. Why is that incorrect? Simply because, see, basically this context is giving me a cause and effect relationship, right? What is the reason? Why are many children not having access to Them is the books, right? Why are they not having access to them? The reason is the books are expensive, right? Since the books are expensive, the effect is children do not have access to them. So if that is the case, why do I need that here? Unnecessary. Out. I don't need that. It doesn't make sense. Since books are expensive, that many children do not have. The construction wise also it's incorrect. Third one. Since books are expensive, many children do not have access to them seems the most right thing. 2 as an intensifier usually brings out negative meaning, right? Expensive is just an adjective. Something can be too expensive. But the problem is 4. Same thing as option 2, right? I can't have since books are too expensive for many children do not have access to them is incorrect again. I don't need this for because the cause and effect is clearly stated with the word since. I don't need for as a preposition again. And of course, there has to be a correction because you can't have that here, right? Since books are quite expensive, that many children do not have access to them. It's the same thing here. The only difference is quite, which is an adverb. So, you have to correct the given statement and the given statement is corrected by this. So, the final statement is this. Since books expensive, many children do not have access to them. Okay, that's your answer. I think the reason why some of you might have got confused is because the underlined part was not clear. That could be the reason.